What's going on, guys, and welcome to this episode of Big League Perspective. My name is Billy Pinckney, author of Passion Prevails. And today on the show, we have Tom House joining us, former Big League pitcher. He's been around for a long time, and he currently helps out so many youth athletes, youth baseball players, and it's just unbelievable what they're doing to help out the young kids out there, and even pros who are trying to improve their game. Someone who knows a whole lot about the mental side of the game, how to deal with adversity, and then, of course, pitching and pitching mechanics. So we're really happy to get him on here and just hear what he has to say. Obviously, when you're around for a while, you've seen a lot, you've observed so much, and then you're a guy like him who's able to teach young kids how to navigate these challenges. What better guest can you ask for? So let's get right to it. Today's episode with Tom House. We're here alongside former big league pitcher Tom House. Tom, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Looking forward to talking to you.
Well, a lot of what we do here is trying to help out the young kids deal with adversity, how to navigate their careers when facing pressure and self-doubt and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure during your career, you've observed many young kids with what you're doing now and how they deal with that, and then what you had to deal with as a player growing up. What do you believe it takes mentally to get to the highest level, and how can you deal with that adversity when sometimes it feels like it's just all crashing down on you?
Well, it's relative to your age, obviously, but kids today don't do as well with the mental emotional management issues as they did when I was growing up. And it's not because the kids are the problem, it's because we kind of live in an entitlement age, and kids, they get rewarded for everything or anything, and they're not allowed to learn from their failures. And I'm as guilty as anybody. When my kids were coming through, the worst thing that a parent can see or feel is when their kid screws up or is failing on the field, and you do anything to have them not experience that. But that's the piece that is necessary. In today's game, at the youth level, kids are not allowed to fail. We live in an outcome world, and your scholarships and your ability to play pro ball or whatever are all designed around outcome, when in effect you can't control your outcome, you can only control your process. So long story short, we've got a generation of youth athletes that have difficulties dealing with failure, and because of that, they're leaving the game at a much higher rate. In fact, I saw a statistic the other day, and I know I'm being long-winded here, but there's like 120 million pre-adolescent athletes, male and female, around the world, 80% of which will stop playing a sport by age 14 because of their inability to deal with sports. And sports are games of failure coached by negative people in a misinformation environment. And if you're going to survive it, you got to understand that screwing up is part of the learning process. So I hope that answered your question. We just don't, in today's world, we're not allowing our kids to understand that failing isn't a bad thing. In fact, fail fast forward, just don't fail the same way.
Do you think it's something that can be solved on a mass scale where kids throughout the country will eventually be able to get back to the point where they can fail knowing that they have to deal with it and find ways to learn from it and get back up? Or do you think it's a little bit too late now where everyone's used to it, everyone's entitled, and there's really no coming back from that?
Well, it's never too late, but it is going to be a little harder. And this is an education process for the parents and the coaches, as well as the kids and the athletes themselves. And literally the power of sports, and it's one of the few things left in the world today where kids, that when they're playing sport, they will understand empathy. They'll learn what adversity is, and we just have to make sure that all sports are available and that the idea behind is the power of play, not necessarily the win or the loss.
I think another large piece of this puzzle too is patience, understanding patience and how much of a role that can play in this. And no one nowadays wants to be patient, especially when you have social media and you're comparing yourself to other players. That can lead down to a pretty rough path. How can players gain that patience and just realize that, the times will come for you and opportunities will come about even if you want it right now in this moment?
Exactly. That's a great question, Billy. The issue that we all deal with is you have to be able to look at a youngster in the face and tell him or her that you're never going to be the best player on the field, but you can be the best you that you can be. And oftentimes that will help, but again, it takes the village. It takes the coach, the parent, the league, and everyone to realize that it's like really cool to be the best player on the team, but nobody's going to care when you're 22 years old that you were the best player on your Little League team if you're not playing the sport or you got a Tommy John or a bad back or whatever it might be. So I think the games, all sports, especially now that when I was growing up, it was football, basketball, and baseball. That was it. Now, you'll see lacrosse, you'll see soccer, you'll see there's all kinds of options to play sports today. We just have to get a little smarter about letting the kids have fun playing and not put performance first.
When I was playing in high school, I was in a situation where the coach wasn't a great communicator, really was more in it for himself, it seemed like, and just winning for himself rather than what he can do to help his players and bring the team together. What advice do you have for the kids out there who may be in a situation where they don't have a great coach who really cares about them as a person and wants to see them succeed off the field as well? Because I know a lot of kids out there are really struggling with that and might even want to quit because of that.
Right, you're very astute on that. The reason kids go home is they're not having fun, they're not learning anything, or they get hurt. And it's a hard concept to understand, but kids come to the ballpark with X amount of motivation. You're not going to get any more out of them than what they show up with, but you can demotivate them. And this is where, as a parent of a young athlete, you've got to really do your due diligence and make sure that the coach that is working with their child is actually about the child first and himself second. And there's the typical, but it happens in all occupations. Like, think about the theater mom that pushes her kid, push, being in front, going to every beauty pageant. Well, it's the same thing if you're going to every get-together out there where it's a showcase where your kid can do what he does and show off, etc., and they push. That isn't what it's all about. We did studies on Hall of Famers, and it turns out that about 60% of Hall of Famers were late bloomers, which means they were not the best athlete on the team. They weren't even probably close to being the best athlete in the league. It happened after age 18 plus. So there's good information out there, and I'm going to do a little promo for Mustard. Mustard is, we have democratized the information that our elite athletes get. If you have a cell phone and you're the parent of a 12-year-old little boy or little girl, you can film your athlete in the backyard, send it to Mustard, and you'll get a report card on the efficiency of movement that they're doing, where they're throwing and they're hitting. And also, once they've identified issues that need to be fixed, it will aim you in the right direction to get it fixed. So if parents or coaches are interested, the information is out there. And I would strongly suggest get-togethers like what we're doing right now to make parents and coaches aware are a start or a beginning to helping everything get more functional than it is today. I hope that made sense.
No, absolutely. Yeah, speaking of mustard and everything you guys are doing there is incredible for the growth of this game and for the future for these young kids. When you look at what's happening with the injuries, I'm sure this is something that can help prevent injuries when you have proper mechanics and you're doing the right thing. What's your take on the state of baseball and the injuries that we see a lot of times with pitchers? It seems like a lot of this stems from the youth side and overuse, and then we see travel teams and all that come into play in the summers. What's your take?
Again, you're setting me up really good. I appreciate this. Year-round baseball and travel teams it's a fact of life now. They're going to be here. And the issue that we face is that with pitchers and all the Tommy Johns and shoulders that are going on, kids today, as they go through the system, they pitch too much and they don't throw enough. So if I could wave the magic wand, knowing full well that it's year-round baseball is here to stay, as are travel teams, but every athlete out there that pitches should take at least 2 months off from the mound. They can throw year-round, they can hit year-round, but they cannot pitch year-round. So 3 things keep an arm healthy. The number of pitches they throw competitively in a given week, their mechanical efficiency, and their functional strength. And the cool thing about being a little leaguer is most of them have functional strength just showing up. But throwing off a mound is unnatural because going down a hill, you create more ground force production. You throw faster, but you also have to try to decelerate your arm. And it's difficult to balance that off even as a little leaguer. So I would refer to organizations like ASMI and Glenn Fleissig, who has, if you went to asmi.org, they have age-specific pitch total recommendations for number of pitches per inning, per game, per week, per month, and per season. And that would give you a good starting point for workloads. And then you just try to, as best you can, help with like mustard or a coach that understands how to throw or hit efficiently. Make sure the mechanics are good. And then simple things like body work, push-ups, pull-ups. A 12-year-old can't lift weights, but they can lift their own body weight. The information is out there. And then as they get that through that first window of trainability, which is neurological, where they're just learning the movements, when they get to high school or when testosterone or estrogen show up, then they can start doing some muscle building. And then when you combine the two, the third window of trainability is skill, and that's when nerves and muscles can talk to each other efficiently. And there's plenty of great information and instructional tools out there. I would just encourage anybody listening to us talk right now to seek it out and be patient with the process. And again, your child doesn't have to be Bryce Harper, who's got big league talent at age 16. He can be someone that matures later and still get a college education and even a pro chance to play.
I think a lot of times too, it's the fear of being different or standing out or not being where everyone else is when it comes to these showcases or all these other types of events that seem to be popping up everywhere. Do you think if a player's good enough that they'll be found, or do you think they have to constantly put themselves in front of these showcases and put money out there in order to have these opportunities? Because I know sometimes it seems like if they have the numbers or if they have been able to prove that they've been able to do something on the field, they'll find you.
Oh yeah, in today's world, if you pop a 90-mile-an-hour fastball and you're a sophomore in high school, because of social media, everybody is going to know it. Scouts, college recruiters, colleges, teammates, whatever. So you have to take advantage of that when you can, but you can't fall into the trap of thinking you have to go to every showcase or a scout isn't going to see you. And I would reinforce this, that if you just play and you do the best you can and you show aptitude, someone will find you. And all you need is one scout or one college recruiter to show interest. And then I'm sure you're aware it's a wide open world right now after high school with these portals, and you can change schools without having to sit out a year. It's scrambled eggs right now, and a perfect time to take advantage of it is just to take care of yourself and your preparation and realize you don't have to be seen at 17 different showcases. Play with your local team, get your innings, get your pitch totals, mature, try to get smarter and better every day. And when you do hit numbers that make sense, because of access to social media, everybody's going to know about it. So don't panic. Don't let someone that runs the showcase call and say, well, unless you come to the showcase or unless you're on this travel team, nobody will know you're alive. You could play for Helen Keller School for the Blind, and if you popped a 95, everybody in the United States would know about it. So be patient.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of late bloomers out there who really don't know if they should be going or if their bodies are developed enough right now to actually impress people at a showcase. But what's your message to the kids who may be dealing with some of that self-doubt or really don't know if they're in the right spot right now to play at the next level or if they have that ability within themselves?
What they need to do is play at the level they're at and be the best they can be every day. And in order, it's got to be fun. You're not going to get a 12-year-old to do something that isn't fun. And be patient with the fact that you're going to make mistakes. You're not going to be the best player on the team. You're going to strike out. You're going to give up base hits. You're going to lose games. But that's all part of the things that will help you not only in your sport, but in life. Learning how to deal with adversity. Learning how to have empathy for a teammate. Learning what it feels like to know you've really, really worked hard to prepare and have something work out good for you. Those are life lessons that seemingly in today's world are taught best by sports. I think with all the things that are issues in youth sports right now, it's still one of the few places that you can go where it's a meritocracy and get all the lessons you need to get, no matter what your color, no matter what your sex, whatever it might be. If you're playing sports, you're getting what you need to be a better human being in society.
Great stuff. And before we wrap it up, I'd like to ask you if there's something in general that you think young players can implement into their routines to help them develop mentally, become stronger minded, what would that be in order to just strengthen them overall?
If I could give a life lesson to a 12-year-old, is whenever they have an outcome, whatever it might be, rather than judge the plus and minus, ask why. The kids that understand why something went well or didn't go well are the ones that can make the adjustments. Make it about the process, not the outcome. And again, it's hard because we live in this outcome society, but it's understanding as early as possible that if you can help yourself with the why of an outcome, you're one step closer to not having that same outcome the next time or a better one, and you'll be less judgmental about yourself and where you fit in the game. If when you go to sleep at night, no matter what your age is, and I tell this when I'm working with superstars as well as 10-year-olds, when you're brushing your teeth at night, look back over your day and ask yourself, what 2 things could I do tomorrow to improve what I did today? And if you're always looking for a way to get better, even as a peewee, you will get better. And if you only fix one thing a day for 365 days, you're going to be 365 things better. So again, it's the process and being patient with the wins and losses and realizing that everybody's in the learning phase and you're just part of that whole process.
Great stuff. Thank you very much for the time. Incredible. And you guys are doing a great job over at Mustard. Keep it up.
Billy, thank you very much. Lindsay was right. I'll hang out with you anytime.
If you're a high school, college, or youth athlete, you got to check out this book, Passion Prevails, or if you know one, it would make a great gift. This book is a compilation of interviews with professional athletes, mainly baseball players, but you have coaches in here, other professionals who have had decades and decades of experience in the sport. And the main goal is this: to help inform, entertain, and give value, provide value on how to navigate your career while facing adversity, how to deal with those challenges that are inevitable, that you're gonna face throughout your career. And many kids out there don't have the proper instruction and guidance on how to navigate those challenges until they're a little bit older, until they have those experiences themselves and need to learn the hard way. So go check it out. It's filled with gems, great quotes, and messages from some of the best players in the sport of baseball. So I highly recommend it. Go check it out. It's in the show notes below. What a great chat right there with Tom House, and just focusing on the process, not being as attached to the outcome, learning from the failure, and just going out there and doing your thing, right? That's what this is all about. Obviously, this game, baseball, softball, whatever sport you're playing, it's not easy, right? There's going to be difficult challenges, but you have the right mindset, you have the right foundation, and the rest of it comes a lot easier than when you're able to have the right foundational tools in place. Then you're able to then execute and then quickly navigate those challenges based on the foundation that you created for yourself. So what a great guest we had right there with Tom House. And if you're a young kid, just continue to be the best person you can be, continue to be the best athlete you can be, and help your teammates and make smart choices, right? We hear a lot of hoopla with what other people are doing, or what showcase you need to go to, or what you need to do in order to get in front of the right coaches and scouts. That's part of the process. But what you need to do is know what's best for you, right? Everyone has a unique situation. Everyone has a different situation than somebody else. You might live in the same town as somebody or be on the same team as somebody, but your situation is completely different. Make educated decisions, educated choices, and do your research if you're a young player. You want to prevent injury. You want to make sure you're not like the rest who are in trouble when they're pitching twice a week, throwing over 100 pitches at 12 years old, and then deciding to play shortstop or third base in between those start days. Make some smart choices, guys, and that'll help you as you move forward, both physically as an athlete and then mentally, in order to gain that strength and execute. So before we wrap it up, I want to go over the 10 perspective points, the core values of this show. First, it's your identity is not in the sport that you play. There's so many things that are greater than that. 2, be faithful to God and His plan for you. 3, prove yourself right, not others wrong. 4, you were born with a purpose. Allow it to be revealed to you. 5, your teammates will remember how you treated them. 6, learn from others' mistakes as if they were your own. 7, create your own approach if you want a different result than others. 8, live for each day, not the weekends. 9, create your own version of cool, because fitting in is what losers do. And 10, embrace your passion, because passion prevails. You go for it with your passion. You put that work in. You work harder than anyone else. Great things are going to come from it. So we want to thank you for joining us here on this segment of Big League Perspective. Please share it with somebody who you think can benefit. If you're a younger player, share it with one of your teammates. Or if you're a parent, share it with one of your players or a kid who you think can benefit from it. Really appreciate the support. And be sure to follow on social media at Billy the Batboy and at BL.Perspective. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time here on the show.